meeting of the August 2020 Concord City Planning Board to order. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll? I will actually read the COVID announcement first, if you want to bear with me for 1 sec before we do the roll call. So as chair of the Concord, New Hampshire Planning Board, due to the COVID-19 crisis and in accordance with Governor Sununu's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there's no physical location to observe and listen if there's a problem with access, and D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. With regard to providing public access to the meeting, we are utilizing the Zoom platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through clicking the following website, www.zoom.us/J/754076629, or by dialing the following phone number, 929-205-6099, and entering the password 7540-76629. For those calling in and want to provide public testimony, please hit *9 to alert the host that you'd like to speak. The host will unmute you during the public hearing portion of the meeting. With regard to providing public notice of this meeting, we previously gave notice of this meeting on how to access the meeting using Zoom, and instructions are provided on the City of Concord's website at www.concordnh.gov/273/planning board. With regard to providing the public with a way to alert us to access problems, if anyone has a problem, please call 603-225-8515 or send an email to planning@concordnh.gov. With regard to adjourning the meeting, if the public is unable to access the meeting, in the event that the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. When each member states their presence, also please state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the Right to Know law. With that, let's start the meeting and take a roll call of attendance. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Chairman Woodfin?
Here, and I am alone in the room, although I have dogs barking, so you'll hear them periodically through the meeting.
Councillor Pierce?
I am here, and I am alone in the room.
Member Hicks?
I'm here and alone in the room.
Member Fox?
You're on mute, Dave. There you go.
I'm here and I'm alone in the room.
Okay. Member Reagan?
I'm here and alone in the room.
Member Smithmeyer?
You're muted, Suzanne.
I am here and in the room.
Okay, with that, we have a quorum. We will open the meeting. We have item 3 on our agenda for tonight is to approve the minutes from the previous meeting of July 15th. Would someone like to make a motion to approve those minutes as submitted or make any changes?
Moved.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. All those in favor by roll call?
Chairman Woodfin?
Rich?
Yes, sorry.
Councillor Pierce?
Hold on, hang on 1 second. Hang on. John?
Sorry, just one revision. I do like short meetings, but it looks like on the last page I voted to adjourn the meeting and I wasn't there. I think it was probably Suzanne.
Okay.
She sounds like you on the phone, so.
Just a minor change.
Okay,
Noted.
Thank you. We'll note that change, and with that, is your motion to approve Earl still in place?
It is.
And your second, Matt?
Yes.
Okay, so you could take a roll, Madam Clerk?
Chairman Woodfin?
Yes.
Councillor Pierce?
Yes.
Member Hicks?
Aye.
Member Fox?
Yes.
Member Reagan?
Yes.
And Member Smithmeyer?
Yes.
Okay, that moves us on to our quick overview of tonight's meeting. Heather, can you just elaborate? So Brixmore, it says, and 28 South, both applicants request to be postponed to the 9/16/2020 meeting. Is that what's 28 South?
28 South is both of the applications are listed on the in the agenda. They're under other business. And so you
Okay.
can read what each of them is under items 9 and 10. And both of those have requested to postpone due to needing to address other issues before they can
Sorry,
come before
I
the
only
board.
printed one page of my little meeting notes here, so I
No,
didn't.
that's okay. There was only
I
one page
apologize.
of your notes.
Okay. Okay, so those, if anybody's here for those two items that are on the agenda, those have been postponed until the September meeting.
Well, we
Okay.
actually need a
We
motion.
need a motion to postpone, so someone like to make a motion to postpone those two items to the September meeting?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made by John Regan, seconded by Council Pierce. All those in favor by roll call?
Chairman Woodfin,
Yes?
Councilor Pierce,
Yes.
Member Hicks,
Yes, we're saying yes tonight.
Yeah, instead of-
Member Fox,
Yes.
Member Regan,
Yes.
and Member Smithmeyer.
Yes.
Okay, it moves us on to the next section in our agenda, which is design review. We've got a few items on consent, determination of completeness for 5A, the Air National Guard, and what else, Heather? It looks like, looking at my cheat sheet here, and my cheat sheet doesn't say anything else.
So you only have determination of completeness is only the Air National Guard. So just take a motion on that one first.
Okay, so let's address that one first, which is 5A, which is 5A. That's not right, is it?
Yeah.
It says 5A is National Guard on my agenda. It says 5A is Sanel Napa.
I've got 5A design review applications by consent.
Yeah, it seems like our
There is
Granicus is different.
There was an update in the agenda last night or this morning. So I apologize, I should have sent a notice out. If you had downloaded the agenda prior to that, you might have the one that was before it was uploaded. So it's just a change of order because we didn't have the Air National Guard in the right location. So your numbering might be a little bit off. But 5A is under the current agenda. It's Stan Tech on behalf of New Hampshire Air National Guard requesting major site plan approval for a 14,700 square foot addition and associated site improvements at 26 Regional Drive in the industrial district. So if your agenda was not the updated one, you might have that under item like 6D.
It's
I have it under 7D.
7D,
Okay,
that's
so you
what I have
don't
it
have
too.
you don't have, it's just the ordering's a little bit mixed up, but there's
So
no
is it gonna be
substantive-
mixed up the rest of the night?
Well, the numbering will be if you don't have the most recently updated.
Well, I got the most recent. I mean, I just barely turned it on and downloaded it. So my Granicus is everybody got 7D as Stan Tech on behalf of New Hampshire Air National Guard?
I do.
I do.
So I don't know.
Mine is 5A and 6A is Sinel.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah.
Can we just do the update? I mean, I pushed the update button and it didn't update it.
Yeah, mine says updated as of 8/19 at 7/10, and
Huh.
it's showing just the other one. So we're gonna
That's
have to
really
be
weird.
careful.
I'm not sure why that's happening because it shouldn't be half the people have the updated one and half the people don't. So I apologize for that. I'm not sure why that's happening.
All right, I'm gonna need you to help me then through on some of these. So
Sure.
if we're gonna do 5A is gonna be the Air National Guard. So let's determine that is a determination of completeness component to that, and there's no development of regional impact. So you need to
Correct.
make a motion. Staff's determined it complete. Make a motion to set it for public hearing next month. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion for that?
So moved.
So moved.
Got two moves. So Matt, I'll
I'll
take
second
your
it then.
motion. Or okay, Suzanne's made the motion. Matt seconded it. Do a roll call vote. All those in favor?
Chairman Woodfin,
Aye.
Councilor Pierce,
I
Member Hicks,
Yes.
Member Fox,
Yes.
Member Regan,
Aye and yes.
and Member Smithmeyer.
Yes.
Okay, so then we've got determination of completeness for ADR by consent. So what is that? What is that now? What I see is 5A, which is Santa Auto Parts, Barlow Signs, Nyapco Signs, CVS, Advantage
it's-
Signs, Cold
It's all of
Kitchen.
those. It is all of those. It's just they're actually 6A. It's 6A
6A.
through 6.
Okay, so
6G.
again, if
But it's all the same. It's all the same items.
Okay, so I'm just going to read quick the item 6A or 5A, whatever you've got. would be Sanel Napa requesting ADR approval for the installation of 2 illuminated signs. We've got Barlow Signs on behalf of Sheehan Gordon for 5B. 5C is Neopco Signs on behalf of Penumbra. 5D is CVS Pharmacy. 5E is Advantage Signs. 5F is Call's Kitchen, requests ADR approval for installation of signs. And 5G is Granite State Credit Union. I'm going to pull off Barlow Signs 5B on behalf of Shaheen and Gordon, which, if I'm not mistaken, Heather, all of those signs are already up. And I'm telling you, I'm just getting sick and tired of having things come to us after. I'm sorry that Teresa's not here, because I know she was going to ask about one of them, but I don't need to pull it off from the signs. It's a fine sign, but I'm at my wit's end as to what we can do, either pushing these back to code. We never seem to get anything or anywhere with that. But I'd like to know from your perspective and from our perspective. I don't want to see these if they're already up on the buildings, and I don't know what to do about it.
So I have talked to legal about this, and I've talked to code about this, and we're in the process of addressing it. So, the code has looked at what we are allowed to do, and Carlos asked them to make some recommendations about how to address the problem. Legal strongly dissuades us from denying any application based on code enforcement issues. So if you don't have a problem with the actual design of the sign, we should be approving it as it's submitted or subject to the ADR recommendations. But we have a meeting scheduled next week to talk about some of the options and how to address this issue. So we've actually taken some steps, and we have a meeting scheduled to look at what we could do or what we should do, and it may end up being something that goes to council.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have the same question on 5F on my agenda on Call's Kitchen.
Yeah.
That sign is already up too. I just wasn't able to glean from this whether it was now they were asking for permission to externally illuminate the sign.
Okay.
But that sign has been up for some time. And of course, the issue further on down with Genesis. So,
and that was the one that Teresa had brought up from last month as well. It seems like we're seeing more and more of them. And I don't default the applicants in some cases on these. I'm looking towards the sign people. I mean, I know in dealing with Glenn Shadlick and the Opco signs, I don't think I've ever seen one on his side. Not that I've seen Barlow or anybody else. I don't know, if these guys are doing it intentionally or just skirting the rules or whatnot. I don't know if there's anyone here from Barlow Signs and can enlighten us. I see a lot of attendees, but I don't know if you see anybody with a hand up or anybody that probably doesn't want to raise their hand at this point. But
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the sign per se, but again, as long as some action's being taken on the city side as far as code and making sure that these things kind of don't come to us if they're already up or there's been some action taken, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I would say act. I would say act on the design of the sign and not on the enforcement or the procedural issues. We are looking at it.
Can we just clarify one thing? Rich, when you're referring to the Shaheen and Gordon sign, which sign are you referring to? Because they've come forward with multiple applications staggered over several months.
Okay, well then I will withdraw my rant then, because I know they've put the new signs up by the street. Yeah, the new illuminated streets up by the street, and I believe on the building as well. And I saw this one is on the building. So
this is this application before us tonight is to replace the existing building sign to something new.
Okay.
The other ones they've received approval for already.
Okay.
And Rich, I was by, Sam had indicated it's the building, it's the sign on the wall of the building.
Yeah.
It's gold letters.
Yeah.
I rode by it today. I thought that sign's still up. The other sign, the freestanding sign, is one you can see from the street.
Right. That's.
But I did have some questions because ADR had a number of comments about the sign that was proposed to go on the building, about size and location. So I don't know if the application we're looking at reflects ADR's comments.
It does.
It does. Okay.
It does.
Thank you, John. Okay, any other comments or questions regarding that? Any member of the audience wish to object to any of the items on the agenda? Again, either 5A through 5G or 6A through 6G, depending on the agenda that you're looking at. if you could make yourself known to staff. If not, I don't see anybody raising their hand. Heather, do you?
Nope.
Okay, so if someone would like to make a motion to approve those applications as submitted with design review comments, and we'll go from there.
So moved.
Second,
Motion was made by Councilor Pierce and seconded by John Regan. All those in favor by roll call.
Chairman Woodfin,
Aye.
Councilor Pierce,
Aye.
Member Hicks,
Aye.
Member Fox,
Yes.
Member Regan,
aye.
Member Smith-Meyer.
Aye.
Okay, so does that move us to item 7 or 6?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so 7A.
So I just want to clarify, I have had several people texting me over the past few minutes saying that they downloaded the most recent agenda, and it is changed. It's updated to the item that we're on now would be 7 and 7A. So I'm not sure why a lot of you have not been able to access the updated one, but
Well,
others
Granicus, we're looking at Granicus. They're updating it from the website, right?
Yeah.
yes, that might
Yes,
be.
Heather, when I look on the website earlier today, it was not this agenda that's on Granicus, so it's a Granicus problem.
Oh, okay. So just for the purpose of not confusing the public, I'm going to go by what the website says because that's what the public is actually seeing.
That's
So
fine.
you all just have a
So
little
we'll be
bit-
confused.
Yeah, just you'll be confused. No worries.
No worries. So
I'll keep you straight.
please do. If you can make sure if I'm saying 5A and it's supposed to be 6A or 7, please correct me.
Well, we are on item 7A now, which
Okay,
I will
let's-
read into the record.
Let's read that into the record if we could.
That's landmark sign on behalf of Genesis, requesting ADR approval for the replacement of 4 monument signs at 227 Pleasant Street in the institutional district. I do believe that we've got Jason Moorhead. It was intending to be on the call. Oh, yep, he's raised his hand, and I will allow him to talk. Is that you, Jason?
Unmute.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Hi. Thank you for having us and doing this evening. First of all, I apologize. I heard your dissertation on sign companies, and I apologize on behalf of all of us. I did install these signs, but I was misinformed when I did it, so I apologize for that. That's why I'm trying to correct it now.
Never listen to the customer. Always call the city.
Yes, I understand that now. So yes.
So this is your second time through, right? So we've seen these. We made some comments. I know Architectural Design Review made some comments, and text was changed, size was changed, the Genesis logo was made smaller, and the numbers were increased. Is that all pretty? Is that pretty succinct?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have questions, comments, concerns regarding? I believe Heather, was this on the July agenda, and now it's back to us again, or was it the June? It seems like it was two ago. Was it?
I'm not sure. I'm going to let Sam clarify, but the reason we pulled it from consent is because part of the application can't be approved and needs variances. So Sam, could you just give us an update on what this deal is here?
Sure. So we are looking at and voting on the 2 freestanding signs out on Pleasant Street, not the directional signs. Those, I believe, need either or both a CUP and or a variance.
What's the reason for that? Because of the too many signs?
Yes, well, the directional signs themselves need a CUP to be permitted, and the size is greater than what is allowed.
Okay. So those are the directional signs that are inside the parking lot, like on the property?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So what's before us? There's nothing in our packet. Well, I guess there is. The two last ones are not going to be voted on tonight, right? So the last 2 signs in our packets is going to be the first 2 that we're looking at.
That's right.
So page whatever it is, 2 and 3, not 4 and 5. Okay. Jason, anything more to add to that?
No.
Okay. No,
I think
that's fine.
you covered it well.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion to grant approval of those 2 signs as submitted, or make some changes or recommendations?
Can I ask a question?
Surely.
As I'm looking at the graphic, the sign presented that has the smaller Genesis with the larger Pleasant View retirement at 227, is that the preferred selection?
Yes.
Okay, I was just trying to make sure.
And again, based on our ADR comments, that it was a sign that tells you what's there, not particularly the company name out on the street. So these were the recommendations from ADR. We pushed them back last month or the month before to make these particular changes, and I think they look fine. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion to approve those two signs as submitted?
I'll move.
So moved.
Got a
Second.
motion from Councilor Pierce and a second from
I'll second it.
Suzanne. All those in favor by roll call?
Chairman Woodfin,
Aye.
Counselor Pierce,
Yes.
Member Hicks,
Aye.
Member Fox,
Yes.
Member Reagan,
Aye.
Member Rosenberg. Wait, I'm sorry. Member Smith-Meyer.
Yes.
Okay. So that moves us on to item 7. Oh, that's approved. So thank you very much, Jason. And again, check with the city next time.
I muted him so he cannot
Okay.
respond.
Thank you, Jason. All right, let's move on, Heather, if we could, to item 7B.
Sure. Sheldon Penoyer, on behalf of Remy Hingia, requests ADR approval for the construction of a rooftop terrace for outdoor dining at 60 Pleasant Street in the Civic Performance District. And I believe that both Remy and Sheldon are on the line. Let me see if I can find them here.
Okay, let's get a quick staff update if we could. I don't know whose project this is. It doesn't look like I have a report in my packet here on my Granicus. All I've got is the application. Is that right?
That's because it's just a
Just
ADR
just an
application.
ADR. Okay, thank you. Is this your project, Sam?
I do ADR, so it is.
Okay, could you give us a quick update on what's before us?
Sure. So Remy is proposing a rooftop deck. This is his Pleasant Street building that's just to the east of the condos that he created recently and just to the north across the street from the federal building on Pleasant Street. He'll tell you that this is in response to our current pandemic situation. So outdoor dining is the way to go. And this came before ADR earlier this month, and I'm sure Sheldon is here. He'll be able to give you a quick summary of the rather lengthy discussion that we had at the ADR meeting.
I'm not sure if Sheldon's here. I'm not seeing him, but I do see Remy, and I have allowed Remy to talk. So Remy, if you're there and you'd like to speak, let us know.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Again.
thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So due to the pandemic, and we opened my old restaurant that was called Remy's Place at the time under the new name, because now I own the building called Nona's Place, and it's been very hard just doing takeout. So thankfully that we got the option and the right to reopen with 50% capacity and to utilize the patio out there. So we came up with the idea to do a rooftop. I invited structural engineer Ben Tyree and the architect Sheldon Penoyer. Ben Tyree verified that the roof is strong enough to have between 35 to 40 seats, but based on the spreading of the 6 feet apart the tables, we're going to go between 29 maximum to 32 seats. And we went, I believe in August 4th was the ADR. We got the approvals from the ADR with a couple of recommendations, like we're working on the awning, because it was a suggestion that the awning should be revised. So for the moment, with the drawings, the second drawings that Sheldon provided, we got rid of the old existing awning and coming up with something new. And then we also on the 5th went in front of the zoning board, and we got the variance with the condition that we will build the privacy wall, because the owners of the condos wanted us to build a privacy wall towards the view that they have, even though they do not see, even though the potential customers do not see the third floor can see down to the roof. From the roof of my other building of what now is a smoothie shop, it's 6 feet 4 inches tall. But again, because we ask they asked to have a privacy wall, and I told them that I'm going to respect their decision, and we're going to build that wall. So I don't have the drawings myself. Sheldon unfortunately could not make it to the meeting, but Sam has all necessary drawings, and if you guys have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Okay. Councilor Pierce?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Remy. As I look at the drawing, I see the planters. Where exactly is this privacy wall?
The privacy wall, the condo owners have asked the privacy wall to be built right here where the roof of the smoothie shop is. I believe by accident Sheldon has shown the privacy wall on the other side, but the privacy wall is supposed to be built in here. I don't know where Sam is having the mice or the mouse.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? Sam, any recommendations from ADR? I apologize.
Sure. So they had recommended to extend the trellis over the doghouse. The doghouse is this right here, which basically serves as the housing for the stairway. They wanted to extend the trellis over the doghouse, so this right here would extend this way to unify the two elements of the building. They wanted to see the number of windows in the east elevation reduced and set them in a downward pattern, so they're not parallel to the stairs. So it would kind of step down like that. Mm-hmm. Paint all of the white on the building to match the galvanized steel siding and the railings. So this doghouse would be a galvanized steel, and there's white currently through here. So this would be painted a gray to match. And the existing awnings, which are currently right here, they're removed in this photo to be removed and replaced with a more contemporary or more appropriate style.
Okay, and then food service is up through the stairs, right? So there's no way to get up there without going outside and up.
Yeah, people come from the ramp. And they go up.
Well, we've instructed the powers that be that it's 50 degrees until at least December with no rain at dinner or lunchtime, Remy. So hopefully, hopefully we can have some outdoor dining as long as we can do it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns from members of the board? Any member of the audience wish to address this application? Just if you could make yourself known to the staff or put your hand up. I don't see anybody. Do you, Heather?
No.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to approve that application as submitted?
So
with
moved.
ADR recommendations?
Yes.
Second.
Recommendations.
Okay, Matt made that recommendation, the motion, and John seconded it. All those in favor by roll call?
Chairman Woodfin?
Aye.
Councilor Pierce?
Yes.
Member Hicks?
Aye.
Member Fox?
Yes.
Member Regan?
Aye.
And Member Smith-Meyer?
Yeah.
Okay, Remy, you're all set. Thank you very much. And
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
all right, you too. Let's move on to item 7C on our agenda. If we could read that into the record.
Dan O'Brien Kia requests an amendment to a previous ADR approval for a facade renovation at 158 Manchester Street in the Highway Commercial District. This is also a building permit in a performance district, and there are a number of folks here that I'm told may be on the line. So let me just go down the line and look if I can see any, or they can raise their hand. Oh, there's one, raised his hand. Thank you.
Hand, yep.
Joe, I've just allowed you to speak.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, who's Sam? Is this another ADR?
It is.
Okay. Could you give us a quick overview of what we're looking at and what they're here for?
Sure. I'll share screen. So this is a facade upgrade from the existing. ADR didn't have any comments. They recommended approval as submitted.
Okay. And it's all it is just a facade change, right?
As well as on the side of the building. I believe
Service.
this is that elevation over there. another side elevation
Okay.
upgrade.
All right. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns from the board? Any member of the audience wish to address this application? Let me have you
I
go
don't-
ahead and.
I don't know. I haven't seen any of the other folks, but I see, Joe, I don't want to pronounce your name wrong. I don't know if you want to add anything or if you're good.
No, it's an upgrade based on the design standards as prescribed by Kia Motors, so.
Gotcha. Thank
Right,
you.
Sam, if we could just have you stop sharing the screen there, Sam. Thank you, sir. Okay, and no, any member of the audience wish to address? I see one hand up, but I think that was Joe.
No,
So
that
if you
was, that was.
If you could take your hand down, there we go. I don't see anybody else, Heather. So would someone, we'll close the public hearing, and would a member of the board like to make a motion to approve that with ADR, with no ADR recommendations, basically prove it as submitted?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion was made by John. Can I second you, Suzanne?
Yep, second.
Okay, so seconded by Suzanne. By roll call, all those in favor?
Chairman Woodfin,
Aye?
Counselor Pierce,
Aye.
Member Hicks,
Aye.
Member Fox.
You got your muted, Dave.
He was just frozen, I think.
You're still muted.
Member Fox.
Yes.
There you
I
go.
think he's frozen. But he did say yes. Member Regan,
Aye.
Member Smith-Meyer.
Yes.
Okay, that moves us on to our site plan subdivisions and conditional use permit section, which is section 8,
8A.
correct?
Yeah, 8A is Nobis Group on behalf of Catch Neighborhood Housing requesting an extension, a 1-year extension of a major site plan, conditional approval for construction of a multifamily residential development at 95 and 97 Village Street in the general commercial district. And it's pretty straightforward. They just need an extension on their approval.
Okay, so we don't have any determination of completeness, no other components. Staff recommends, I believe, when I looked at the report, that there wasn't anything to this, right?
Not really, no.
So staff recommends that the applicant requested a 1-year approval extension. So any comments, questions, concerns? Any member of the audience have any questions or concerns regarding item 8A, the application by Catch Housing? You can make yourselves
nothing.
known. If not, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion from the board to extend this as outlined.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Council Pierce, seconded by John Regan. All those in favor by roll call?
Chairman Woodfin,
Yes?
Counselor Pierce,
Aye.
Member Hicks, Member Fox,
Yes.
Member Regan.
Aye.
All right, let's move on to item 8B on our agenda, Shaker Road Amendment to an Approved Plan. We'll recognize that Matt Hicks was recusing himself from this conversation. You leave the room. You go out in the other room and no, kidding. Stay right there. And if we could, we still have a quorum, so we will continue on and welcome Doug Hicks to the table if we can unmute him, and we'll get a quick staff update on this if we could.
Sure. Do you want me to read the item?
Yes, please read it into the record. I'm sorry.
You've
Took
got-
right over for you.
We've got Douglas Hicks on behalf of the Shaker Road School requests minor site plan approval for an amendment to a previously approved site plan for construction of an open pavilion at 131 Shaker Road in the medium density residential district. And staff does recommend it be determined complete and not a development of regional impact, and that the public hearing be opened. And I will look for.
Okay, so we have a determination of completeness component, and recognizing that this is not a development of regional impact, would someone like to make a motion to find the application complete, open the public hearing?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilor Pierce, and a second by Suzanne Myers. Would all those in favor by roll call? Heather?
Oh, I apologize. I was still looking for Chairman Woodfin,
Yes.
Counselor Pierce,
Yes.
Member Hicks. Oh, excuse me, Member Regan,
Aye.
Member Fox,
Yes.
Member Smith-Meyer.
Yes.
And I did find, I'm not sure who it is, but I have Patricia Hicks, who I've allowed to speak. I'm not sure if it's her or Doug on the line, but they are available.
We'll know momentarily.
Yeah.
It's Douglas Heck speaking.
Okay.
Hi, Douglas.
I'm on my wife's computer.
There you
Gotcha.
go. Okay, could we get a quick staff update before we open this up?
Sure. So the applicant is just proposing a small addition to the Shaker Road School campus, 24 by 48 pavilion. This is in response to COVID-19 preparations for the school year.
Okay, so 24 by 48 pavilion open. Oh, it's an open pavilion, right? Or no?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Anything, Mr. Hicks, anything you want to add to the discussion? It looks pretty straightforward on our end.
No, it is straightforward. It's basically an open pavilion where we can do some instruction and some activities outdoors with the children in response to the COVID-19 DHHS and CDC guidelines.
Perfect. And you heard my earlier comments, hopefully to Remy, that we've ordered up 50+ degree weather and no rain or snow until at least December. So,
well, Matt Hicks is going to be assigned to teaching.
Yeah, that's right. He'll be out there with his long hair.
Right.
Okay. So this is an already approved staff, Sam or Heather. This is an already approved plan, right? We're just doing an amendment. What are we amending?
Well, their original site plan, what you're looking at was the original site plan that was approved. And since this triggers review, we just put it in the category of an amendment instead of calling it a brand new minor site plan application. Since it's a very simple, straightforward application, and the application requirements were lower if we considered it an amendment. So we did it that way.
All right, great. So we've got a pretty straightforward application in front of us. Does any member of the audience wish to address this application? If you could make yourself known by raising your hand or. Okay, I don't see anybody. Do you?
Nope.
Okay, so we will close the public hearing, and if someone would like to make a motion to grant minor site plan approval for the amendment to the previously approved site plan at 131 Shaker Road, subject to the conditions that any disturbed area around the pavilion shall be revegetated and stabilized. Did I hear something pop in there, or nobody had anything? Nobody had a concern?
I think that was just somebody's phone.
Okay. So would someone like to make a motion to grant that minor site
I'll
plan?
move the question.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Pearson, seconded by John Regan. All those in favor by roll call?
Chairman Woodfin,
Aye.
Councilor Pierce,
Aye.
Member Regan,
Aye.
Member Fox,
Yes.
Member Smithmeyer.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hicks, and we will recognize and welcome back Matt Hicks to the table as a member in good standing. Let's move on to item 7.8C. TF Moran on behalf of Interchange Development. Could we read that into the record?
Sure. TF Moran on behalf of Interchange Development LLC and Bradley Whitney and Jennifer Habel, I hope I said that right, request design review of a phased major site plan and condominium subdivision, which includes an 80,775 square foot supermarket with attached 22,483 square foot retail and separate 11,634 square foot retail pad under phase 1, 8 additional commercial buildings and a cell tower under phase 2, and industrial development under phase 3 for the property located at 1 Whitney Road in the Gateway Performance District. So for clarification, this is not, there will be no motions or approvals, and all comments are non-binding because this is design review and it is not a major site plan application. So the applicants wanted to have this meeting to get feedback from staff, from the board, and from the public. And I have a long list of people who, from the applicant, have said that they're going to be here. So I'm going to start with Jason Hill, and then I'm going to unmute Jason and Lori Rossio, and then I'll try to get to these other people that I see on the list. And so Jason, you are allowed to speak now. again, I'm just going to go through and try to allow the others to.
Okay. So before we do that, before we do that, I just want to make sure that anybody listening that this is the last item on our agenda, Heather?
No, we've got one more after this.
What's the last one? Mountain Lake?
The last one is, oh no, you're correct. I apologize.
So that's it. So there's no, on ours, we had 7D, which was Stantec for Air National Guard, which has been postponed, Brixmore, and then Mountain Lake Heating Fuel Oil. What is that one? Or is that?
That was the one that was postponed.
28 South. Okay.
Right.
So just if anybody's listening for those and came in late, we announced at the beginning that those would not be heard tonight. So this is the last item on the agenda. Somebody started to say something and I cut you off. I think it was Beth.
Yeah, we still have to do a determination of completeness and open a public hearing. You can't go right to Jason.
Correct. Thank you.
Determination of completeness, and it is a development of regional impact as well, correct? Okay, so two components on this. So this is a development of regional impact, and it is been determined complete by staff in such that it's just a review of the concept, not particularly the plans themselves. So someone like to make a motion to find the application complete and recognize that it is a development of regional impact and open the public hearing.
Moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilor Pierce, seconded by Matt Hicks. All those in favor by roll call?
Chairman Woodfin,
Yes.
Councilor Pierce,
Yes.
Member Hicks,
Yes.
Member Fox,
Yes.
Member Regan,
Aye.
Member Smithmeyer.
Yes.
And I just, for the record, want to say that I think everybody that I've heard from, and I've heard from quite a few people, everybody wants a supermarket. A lot of people want a liquor store, and everybody wants the development to go through. So will it take as many people as want to comment? But if your comment is I want the grocery store, we want to hear you if you want it. But we know that that's a hot button issue, and you'll get a chance once we decide if the design looks good and how we're going to move forward. So let's open it up. Heather, I don't know if you've got anybody in particular that can give us an overview, or staff wants to go through the plan that was submitted. That may be the best place to start.
Do you want a staff summary first, or do you want to go straight to?
No.
Okay. Beth, do you have a summary?
No, pretty much. I think I want to leave it up to them to do their presentation. Pretty much some of the major comments we have is about pedestrian circulation. I think that's something that really needs to be worked through. We also received some public testimony to that effect. So that's something that we hope to work continuously with the applicant on. And there was some ADR comments on the also pedestrian circulation. I have a little bit of concerns about impacts to the bluff buffer, and that's something that we work on with the grading and drainage. But I'm looking forward to any comments that you all have and from the public.
I think there was one, if I read one late comment that mentioned bus transportation in the area. Will bus transportation be pushed into that area as well? So lots of great comments, and we want to keep seeing them. So
I'll just give a global overview that there are significant offsite improvements, including traffic circle and many other improvements to Hoyt Road and Whitney Road that are that haven't been presented yet publicly, or they're still working on those designs. And council, there's a TIF that council needs to vote on, and development agreement. So there are a lot of other moving pieces to this that are still in the process, and that will go to, if anybody wants to weigh in on any of those issues with the offsite improvements and the TIF, there should be upcoming council meetings on those. That will be public hearings on those issues upcoming. But this is strictly about the site plan and what is available publicly through the agenda link that we have right now. So with that, I'll say I have Jason Hill. I'm going to turn it over to him. I also have Lori Rossio, David maybe with her, Eric Brown, James Lamp, and Andrew S. Davis. So if there is anyone else on behalf of the applicant who I missed, please raise your hand and I'll unmute you. And in the meantime, I think maybe Jason might be a good place to start.
we could just get a layout of, I know, obviously Jason says he's with TF Moran, but if the other people could identify themselves as far as who they're with and who they represent.
Yeah, but let's do that if they want to speak, if you don't
Okay.
mind, just to avoid confusion.
Heather, do you have the ability to just let me be the presenter or?
Yep, let me switch you to a panelist, and then you will be able to share your screen. And I just got Randy. Janie, okay. So Jason, you've been promoted to panelist, and you should be able to share your video, and your right now you're muted and your video's off.
Well, he doesn't need his video. He just needs to scroll down to the bottom of his screen where the green button will say share screen. But you got to unmute too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he realizes that he's there. There we go.
All right, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks, Heather. So we're looking at a overall site plan of the property. I'll start with, my name is Jason Hill. I'm a civil engineering project manager with TF Moran out of Bedford. And we're here with tonight with Eric Brown of PCA Architects, who's the project architect for both of the buildings in phase one. David, Lori, Razio, who are the property owners and site developers. And then Jim Lamp and Carmine Tomas, who would be representatives for the supermarket. Randy Shine of TCD Construction, who would be the general contractor for the liquor store. And Andy Davis of the New Hampshire Liquor Commission. And I did want to give a brief presentation in an overall 30,000 foot view of the just site access, parking, circulation, landscaping, and then give a brief landscape, architectural, have Eric give a brief architectural presentation, and then really turn it over to the board and to any public for questions and comments, because the primary purpose of tonight's meeting is to elicit any comments so that when we make our subsequent site plan application filing in the coming months, it's an efficient process and we're ahead of the curve, so to speak, and being proactive. And basically, that would be the goal, is to make this an efficient and smooth process. So having that being said, I believe that the board is familiar with the site. It's off of exit 17. It's directly west of the exit 17 ramps, right before the Hannah Dustin Bridge. And the property itself is, it's a vacant property with the exception of this Dunkin' Donut. Well, there's an Extra Mart gas station, fairly newer development with a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through restaurant that's in the northwest quadrant of the development. The remaining acreage has been it's vacant. It's partially wooded. It's a gateway district, a fairly newly zoned gateway district parcel, with the exception of the dog leg in the back, which is an industrial zone parcel. It's adjacent to the Wheelbrader trash incinerator, the Concord Sports Center, and then there's some other businesses. But Whitney Road dead ends basically beyond the south of the Wheelbrader property. Whitney Road currently the pavement ends, and it's a class 6 road all the way down to roughly where the Concord Monitor is. So we've as I said, looking forward, we are looking to submit the final site plans in the coming months. We have a construction schedule is tentative for a spring 2021 start, with the store being opened at some point in 2022. A background of this project is that the city had approved a CDP, or a comprehensive development master plan, in 2018, I believe, for this parcel, which we have to this point developed the master plan with our project as like a multi-phased site plan. And we're looking for approval of the initial phase, which would consist of the supermarket facility with attached retail space and a separate retail building pad site for the liquor commission in this position. My client has met with the TPAC several months ago, which is a transportation advisory group, as well as they have met with the New Hampshire Energy Subcommittee in August, just to coordinate this development with some of the objectives of those organizations. Specifically related to the development, I'm going to just briefly walk you through the building program, the framework of this overall site. So Interchange Development, which is David and Lori Rosio, they currently own a parcel here, and there's an adjacent parcel owned by the Habels, which would be merged, voluntarily merged, combined into a singular parcel, with the formation of like a commercial land condominium to establish this overall development. The phase one development is what we're focused on now, which would be the supermarket, market basket, with the unspecified attached retail space to the south in this position, as well as the liquor and wine outlet in this position. Is as part of that initial phase of site development, we would develop Merchants Way, which is a loop road forming basically two full access driveways off of Whitney Road, which forms this loop system network. And then this dead end industrial drive, which should be called Interchange Drive, which will access the loading areas for the supermarket, as well as a future industrial building or a type of a distribution facility, as well as a cell tower site. The second phase will primarily consist of the development of these commercial pad sites in the central portion, as well as this building here. At this point, we're at a master plan level in terms of we're targeting certain end users, and we've planned our utility and drainage and sewer infrastructure, as well as our road network, to accommodate what we're looking to attract for end users. That being said, these central pad sites will end up having to come back to the planning board at a future point in time, once we have a known client to develop these areas. But primarily it consists of a mix of medical office type client, restaurants, fast food restaurant, as well as like banking and just general retail space, mid to large scale, pad sites, not like strip mall type developments, but larger end users. This will be a condominium primarily, with like a shared maintenance over much of it would be shared maintenance and responsibilities. We've designed the road network to be like 30 foot wide streets for both truck traffic, as well as allowing for if you had any turning movements into these pad sites, that there'd be the ability for if you had a wider road to bypass traffic. Another key aspect, as Heather mentioned and Beth, was that we wanted to create a walkable community or walkable development with respect to being able to do business in multiple of these entities, in a single trip. So to give you a scale of things, I always get lost in a plan because everything looks a lot bigger than it really is to me when I look at a plan and when I look at it in real life. But if you actually look at the distance from the front door, Whitney Road, to the front of the supermarket, I believe it's in the vicinity of 1,200 lineal feet, which when you look at comparable things in town, that's roughly equal to like when you have the Store Street Plaza, TJ Maxx to the old liquor store, which is now the Liquor Commission. Well, that plaza is approximately the same distance. So to scale things, we have interconnected these individual pad areas with a series of sidewalks, which are either parallel sidewalk, your typical sidewalk in curb condition, where you're just basically following the road, as well as planning for a future open space corridor, which would promote like a pedestrian and biking path situation where we could have people coming from Whitney Road, if there was housing developments or whatever have you, and utilizing this green space corridor as a focal point for the development that would actually transition all the way through to the front door of the supermarket, and also would provide a nice amenity for these individual pad sites where to draw those clientele in, where you'd have an attractive, basically a park or an open space corridor for passive, use, which would be an alternative routing for like pedestrian interconnectivity between these sites. We have heard from the ADR that they provided some really good suggestions in terms of potentially taking some of this routing and providing alternative additional sidewalk pedestrian corridors, I'd say in this vicinity, the south end of the parking lot, which we're going to consider. But we are planning on and have, as part of our planning process, focused on that. And then just finally, like looking at the landscaping and hardscaping, this, we have our landscape architect, will put together a package when we submit to you for final, which will, I think, provide a very attractive landscape package with 4-season interest, looking at like even some type of foliage that'll produce like a berry in the wintertime, so you'd have full 4-season interest for attractive landscaping at the end of the day, similar to what you'd find at the Bedford, New Hampshire Market Basket Plaza off of Donald Street. That being said, I'm just going to finish with a basic thing I should have pointed out would be that the main parking facility for the supermarket and attached retail spaces in the central portion of the property. This area, we have the loading area in the back. We have truck routes, truck access via either entrance off of Whitney Road, via the industrial drive, and also through the back for loading to the various docks, loading bays in the rear. And then for the Liquor Commission, we would have this parking area, which would be a shared parking area with that future pad site, but we would propose to construct a majority of this parking field with full service access, two-way drives throughout, a loading area in this position, and then just general perimeter landscaping around Route 4 here and around the actual the perimeter of the site all together. So I'd like to let Eric speak and present briefly the architecture to the board at this point, if that's okay with you, Heather.
Yeah, I'm going to promote Eric to a panelist. Hold
Thank
on.
you.
Proud to be promoted. Thank you.
Yes, hold on a sec. You're bouncing around on my list here. Okay, so he should be popping up momentarily. I think, Jason, that you need to stop sharing in order for him to start. I don't see him yet.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. Eric, you are on the panelist list, which means you just need to unmute yourself, and you can either share video or share your screen as you choose.
Well, I'll share my video.
Okay.
And let's see. A lot of buttons to click. So I'm Eric Brown. I'm with PCA Architects. I assume you guys can see the elevations at this point?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we've been working for Market Basket for about 15 years. We've delivered almost 30 stores, I think, in this area, in Manchester, Elm Street, Hooksett, Bedford, New Hampshire, up in Plymouth, New Hampshire, Nashua, so all around. And what we do on each site and what the client likes to do is to have the architecture reflect the community, the area, the environment. And we feel this site is basically a mostly rural feeling site as opposed to a downtown location. And so the architecture reflects that. So the detailing is clapboard and trim and CMU, and we have metal roofing and cupolas and that sort of detail. Now we have a big building, so what we do in the front is we try to break it up and break up the scale so to create a more of a human pedestrian scale to the building. At each entrance, there's a big area here where the registers are that's very glassy and open. Another entrance at this tower, and then we have a cafe that's sitting in this position. The adjacent tenant is not leased yet, so we're not sure who that's going to be. But again, we just want to have architecture that's reflective of the region. And on the sides, this is the produce area. There's going to be some awning shaped elements here to kind of screen some of the sun. The rear of the building is really not seen from anywhere. We are sure we've kind of looked at that from the road. There's a highway and wooded area in between the highway and the building, so it's really not seen. On the south side, we'll take the architecture of this tenant, we'll wrap it around the south end of that building. Here's just a quick view. You can kind of see how we even in blank areas, we break it up with pilasters, a couple of different colors of clapboard, different color of shingle, a block base, a nice metal cornice. So it has a little bit of scale, a little bit of human scale detail that breaks it down as you go around the building. So that's the Market Basket. And then the New Hampshire Liquor Store is it's based on a prototype that they are very happy with, which is also consistent with New England architecture. We have a heavy timber tower at the entrance. The rest of the building is made up of granite base, clapboard, trim, dormers, windows, large windows where it's appropriate, smaller windows where it's appropriate. It's going to be a nicely landscaped building. The elevations, of course, the elevations are not that realistic. There's no shadow here, so you lose some of the depth and some of the quality of the building. But this is kind of the loading dock in the rear. The loading dock is basically tucked around the corner, so you really can't see it from the main drag. Facing the road is, let's see. Facing the road would be this elevation. You can see the grade is sloping up. You have these little barn sash and dormers, gable end here. So again, it's really just finding what's appropriate for the environment, for the community, representing the liquor store's brand, which is very strong, and the grocery store's brand, which is also very strong, and finding something that's appropriate for the site. And I can unshare my screen or I can leave it up there, depending on what the pleasure of the board.
Anybody else in the organization want to speak in your group, Eric or Jason or Rossi?
I do not know. Does anyone like to speak from our group? I think they're happy with the.
Yeah, I think that's.
Hands up.
They're happy with us.
They're happy
That's
with
what
us.
we wanted to convey. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's if we could switch back to Sam or Heather. Do you have the overview of the property, the 30,000 foot view that Jason shared first?
Would you like me to stop sharing?
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
I have it. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, could you
Oh,
just
thank
put
you.
it on the screen? I just want to open it up for public comment, and I want to have that on the screen so people can reference it if there's questions or concerns regarding the look and feel. So without any other board members having questions or concerns, let's open up the public portion of it and see if we can.
Councilor Pierce had his hand up.
He did.
He did.
Councilor Pierce, did you have a question?
I do.
Okay.
It's for Eric. When you talk about the view from the road, do you mean Hoyt Road or I-93?
Well, when I mentioned that the back of the building is not visible from the highway, I meant the highway, I-93. When I was talking about the loading dock of the liquor store, I was referring to the access drive coming up the middle of the site. But we also have that screen from the road, which is running along the north, which I'm sorry, I don't know the name of.
Hoyt.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure what your question is referring to, which comment that I made.
Okay, I'm worried, not worried. I'm questioning what would be viewable from I-93, both south and north, with people traveling.
We believe nothing.
I'm guessing you don't want to see the Capitol Plaza back of Market Basket and that area.
There's a dense wooded area.
That's the point of your question. Okay. Yeah, there's a pretty dense area, right?
There's the railroad track is between our site and I-93, and there's a very heavily tall wooded area.
Okay. Before we go into public testimony, Beth, I think there was a buffer question. Was there a buffer? Again, we're looking at the site, and as it's situated here, are there any buffer concerns?
No, it was just, so, I don't know if you could see my cursor. There's a bluff back here, and that should remain vegetated. So that'll provide some sort of, as well as a buffer to the bluff and the wetlands back here. It'll provide a visual buffer to the highway as well.
Okay. All right. So why don't we leave Jason and Eric in as panelists? Heather, if we can just mute them, so we're not. I don't want them speaking during the public testimony piece. And if we have questions, we'll come back to them. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. They can mute themselves.
Okay, that's fine.
They can even like hide their video if they.
No, that's fine. They can stay right there.
Can I just make a global comment? I think on the layout, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
So I had talked with the Rossios and with Jason, for a very long time, multiple conversations and meetings about the design and the layout. And they had originally had a comprehensive development plan approved, which is a bit different from this. So you'll notice in Beth's report, if you had a chance to take a look at it, that it mentions that they will need to come back to get a revised approval on the comprehensive development plan, since this is a bit different from that. And a big part of the sort of guiding principle of the layout and what we were trying to accomplish was creating this sort of pedestrian friendly space that was more like where there was a there that people would want to sort of be in or walk around, which is kind of like the planning principles that we try to implement in all development today. And when we first started talking, all of these, the liquor store, the proposed liquor store location and the other buildings in that upper quadrant were all sort of closer together. And they were kind of grouped in like as though it was an intersection of sorts of the buildings. And I feel like each iteration of the plan that I see, these buildings are moving further and further apart. They're about as far apart now as they could get. And I'm disappointed to hear them referred to as pad sites, because that's exactly what we were trying to avoid, was this notion that these are just buildings on pad sites surrounded by their own parking and they're not really connected in like tangible ways other than I do very much appreciate the attempt to create these sidewalks and, the central green space that's to the south of all of that. But I'd hoped for something, an implementation that was a little closer to that vision of grouped buildings that relate to each other more physically and closely, such that they weren't separated by, basically all of the parking that both of the uses need is between all these buildings. So I would be interested in having further conversations with the consultants about how these buildings are functioning and where they're located. It looks like between the two buildings, the office buildings, that I can't really see that, but it looks like there may be something there. I'm not sure if that's like trash or loading or if it's an actual like little plaza area.
Where again, Heather?
Yeah, thank you. That's so okay. It's actually a drive aisle. Never mind. But I think that there are some improvements in the layout that could help with the sort of, and you can even see more how there are some attempts at having some kind of lovely features added, but they're all sort of disparate. And I think that there is probably a solution where these things could be moved around a little bit to function a little better. And I understand a big challenge is loading and trash. And so sometimes that's what ends up sort of, relegating to, at the end of the day where things need to be. But I would like to have a conversation with them maybe about the location of those, the four buildings at the top. I thought also the comprehensive development plan had some like street parking on that central drive aisle, which sort of slowed traffic down and created I think it was like some angled parking. I'm not sure, I can't recall, but it kind of gave it more of a friendly street look with the, there was like right now it looks like it's just road and then sidewalk right next to the road. Like there's no like street lawn or buffer between the traffic and the pedestrians. So I think there's a bunch of things like that we could sort of look into with a little more attention to the pedestrians. We have heard a lot of several people. We got some feedback from a woman who said, she's concerned about pedestrian connections from off-site. But I know that there are a number of, interested parties who have said, that pedestrian and bicycle connections are really important to them. So we should probably just make sure that that's working. And I think also addressing bike parking and where that's going to happen. And I know there's also some alternative energy features that are being incorporated in here, like charging stations. So I think all of that stuff is worth a good discussion. Just to, on the one hand, to highlight the good things that you are doing, but on the other hand, to maybe point, think about some ways that it could be improved. I'm sorry if that was lengthy.
No, that's fine. Any follow up on that as far as Eric or Jason, anything you want to add to that? We don't have to. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to put him on the spot. Just sort of put out there that I'm concerned that the development is sort of, it's kind of gone in the direction that I was trying to, with all those previous conversations, sort of avoid these being treated like pad sites that were just not really connected in terms of the buildings and their relationship to each other.
We're open to having a discussion with you, with the city regarding some of those conditions, some of those aspects that you mentioned, because we want it to be the very thought out development.
Yeah.
And I just use the word pad site only in the respect that it was an undeveloped future commercial condominium land unit.
Yeah.
Rather, so it wasn't like that was the context of the language. So
Sure.
I just want to clarify that. But we'll definitely are open to having a work session with you, with the city, to see how we can incorporate some of those aspects.
Sure. Great.
And
Heather?
Go ahead, Suzanne.
I just raised my hand. I don't know if you can see it, but I just wanted to, I agree with Heather wholeheartedly. And I was just also wondering if there was a way, the sidewalks that go along the large entry drive, if those sidewalks could be reflective of what the city sidewalk cross-section is, where the sidewalk is separated from the roadway with a landscape median strip. Because I think that would also help with slowing down that traffic and providing more of a safety, more safe pedestrian experience. But I think that the connections, I agree with you, like the buildings being so far apart, but, you know, if someone can park in there and feel comfortable walking from one of those things to another, it would prevent a lot of, you know, unnecessary traffic. And maybe there are ways to, you know, address that so that it does look like a self-contained unit and not like a traditional strip mall kind of experience.
Yeah, and I think I've found that walls, you know, brick walls can be really effective to make things seem more connected. So that, you know, adjacent to the parking, you have a brick wall there, and then the landscape area and the sidewalk are you know can seem more desirable if the sidewalk goes through the middle of the landscape area instead of being adjacent to the road.
We may look at it too in smaller groups. I mean, again, I'm sensitive obviously to the fact that you want to have a well-designed space that's appealing visually and, you know, works for all of the tenants. But by the same token, if you look at the tenants that are here, just not that there's anybody here, but the proposed tenants that are here from, you know, the liquor store side over, you know, you got a liquor store, you got a restaurant, you've got a media area, medical office, a dental office, an urgent care, a bank, fast food, and a retail. The chances of people coming and lingering and moving from one to the other, I mean, I don't know how many people go to urgent care and then decide to run over to the dental office or the medical office or the bank, or maybe they go to fast food. But I think maybe some smaller, you know, grouping 2 or 3 together as opposed to trying to put them all into a central area and having parking in the back or something like that. I mean, I can see it where you have all of the properties butting together and then all the parking in the back or all around the back side of it. And I don't think that's the case, right, Heather?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting that.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting. And the comprehensive development plan was just a little bit closer to what I was thinking, and
Okay.
which was not like that. But I think that I just completely lost my train of thought. I just wanted to clarify, when I said a wall, I mean a knee wall, like a 2 foot 3, you know, a 2.
Okay.
Instead of like a landscape hedge, you put both, but you put a very low wall there to create, you know, the buffer from the parking, so you don't feel like you're walking from parking lot to parking lot.
So some obviously, you know, this is why we're here tonight, is to get feedback like this, let the designers, let the owners, let everybody kind of hear it, and then we do want to get some public testimony. So why don't we go into that phase if we can? Is there anybody in the audience?
Well, I just want to say I do have one of the consultants, or I think he's a representative from the Liquor Commission.
I see James.
If I
Is
recall.
that James?
Yep. And sir, you are able to speak. Would you like to share video, or do you just want to speak?
No, I just, this is Jim Lamp. I'm with LTD. I'm an engineer by training, and I've been with Market Basket for about 13 years now. I just wanted to comment. I think when you use the word pad site, that might be a misnomer. And I don't want to step on the Rossios' toes, but I think one of the problems you're having with development, and we've been doing quite a bit over the last 13 years, is tenanting. And to try to cluster any of these together, not knowing who your tenants are, and the difficulty of getting brick and mortar tenants these days, makes it really, really difficult and expensive to build spec buildings.
Yep.
And then you have every tenant saying, well, I don't want construction right next to me after I'm open. So there's this complication with, you know, real world situations that are going to be, it's going to be difficult for the Rossios to fill this up in a given time frame, given the market today. So thank you for letting me speak.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. I think those are all really good points.
Absolutely. All right, let's open it up to anyone else. I see another hand that went up there. Andrew, you unmute. I think you can speak.
Yes, he is able to speak if he unmutes.
Andrew Davis.
I unmuted you if you would like to speak.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you.
For the record, Andrew Davis or Andy Davis, New Hampshire Liquor Commission Director of Real Estate and Leasing. Thank you. Thank you. I've been watching the meeting. I'd like to just kind of echo some of the sentiments that was just raised by Jim Lamp. We've done a lot of projects together, and this is a very important project. I commend the Rossios for their efforts, and I also I've listened to all the comments, and I think there's a lot to be said for the synergies that are being tried to be put together here. I think that the presence of the Market Basket and the Liquor Commission present a great opportunity for the site, and they also present the challenges as far as the logistics and the flow of the site, the traffic, the deliveries, and all of that. And I think that TF Moran, as well as Dave and Lori Rossio, have put a lot of thought into this, and we're willing to work with the developer as well as the city. The site is a great, in our estimation, it has a lot of potential. Not only demographics, but also the traffic, and whatever we can do to assist, we're more than happy to do. That said, I think that some of the comments that I'm hearing are going to be somewhat limiting as far as, again, back to what Mr. Lamp said, as far as the Rossios' ability to attract other tenants if it becomes too constrictive. So, from the standpoint of the Liquor Commission, we're looking forward to moving here. We've entered into a long-term agreement with the landlord. We're very confident in the talents of the general contractor that they've selected for us, and that's kind of the gist of my comments for now.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, I think everybody's looking forward to this. Now we just got to get all the little, whether the traffic issues or the traffic circle or the 93 issues, whatever they might be, kind of behind us. So thank you very much, Andy, for that testimony. And again, we'll try to open it up on the public side. So if anybody, member of the public, wishes to address this application, if you could either raise your hand if you're watching this on Zoom, or if you could hit *9 on your phone and talk to staff on the phone, we'll take that testimony. I think we've got a couple people queuing up, so as we see them, we'll push them up and allow them to speak. I think Matt was the first one I saw. So Matt, you're on. If you could state your name for the record.
My name is Matt Henry. I'm a resident of Concord.
Great.
I just had three main comments, if I could. I think that this is an opportunity to improve upon some community connections. I think that this is, granted, the site is kind of separate from where the population, Pennacook and Concord are, but I think there's an opportunity linking the Sewell's Falls Bridge to this area, maybe a bike path or dedicated bike lane, to improve upon the ability for someone to reach the site, and it ultimately will be better for the customer and the developer as well. Second piece, I understand the developer's concerns about having it be cost prohibitive to develop sites too close together. But what I'm concerned about are the long-term impacts of buildings spaced out where the parking seems to be a bit over-programmed, and we get like a Loudon Road type development. So I do think that some good effort for pedestrian circulation is very, very important. I'm reminded of a screenshot that we saw of the elevation view of the liquor store, and then an elevation view of Market Basket. The liquor store looked awesome, and we see these liquor stores throughout New Hampshire, and I think the architecture is really good, and it's scaled for a human. I was kind of chuckling at the Market Basket elevation because they threw some people with bicycles in there, but the pavement, and I'd love to bring it up as I'm speaking so I can kind of show you, but it was kind of humorous. Like some people with bicycles were there to make it look pedestrian friendly, but then you have a wide parking lot where you can land a 747. That's never going to be bike and pedestrian friendly. So narrowing that would go a long way. And if it seems like I'm being critical, I'm not. Trust me. I think that having a Market Basket, in Pennacook or any grocery store in Pennacook is a really great idea. But I'm just giving you some of my thoughts. So I think that overall the parking area in front of Market Basket is not pedestrian friendly at all. So kind of re-looking at that, and maybe instead of looking at these 5 or 6 locations as separate, combining them into one site plan would go a long way. Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony, Matt. Okay, let's recognize the next person's hand up is got a Tyson Miller. That's what it's labeled. If we could have him unmute or her unmute and.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. If you could state your name for the record.
Sure. My name's Tyson Miller. I'm the chairman of the Canterbury Planning Board, and I'm very impressed with these drawings and ideas. I wanted to reiterate the interest of pedestrian access and bicycle access from outside the immediate area, across the bridge, and from across the street over in Canterbury on Old Boyce Road. That is a commercial zone for Canterbury over there, and there already are houses, and I can see people wanting to walk across one way or another to get to this wonderful facility that you're planning. So I just wanted to reiterate that I don't see any sort of entrance ways for walkers or bicyclists at this point in time. And also I'm concerned, it's probably for another meeting, that if this all gets developed prior to improving that intersection, it's almost impossible to turn off of Old Boyce Road and turn towards the interstate in a traffic time. So it would really make it impossible without having something in place.
I think that's the issue is getting something in place to ease that traffic burden. So just take us through Boyce. So Boyce Road is on the other side of 93. Is that right?
No, Old Boyce Road is the extension of Whitney Road, right at that intersection.
Right across the other side of Hoyt Road, then, right up with.
Yeah, that's Old Boyce Road. Okay, part of which I think the first 100 feet, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is actually Concord.
Yeah. And
then the rest goes right in. It's the only entrance for Canterbury into this whole commercial area and residential area on the way. It's the only entrance.
Other than across the other side of the highway, right?
No, you can't get across the highway at all, anywhere.
Okay.
You can't get across the river. So the only way is Old Boyce Road. And on the other side of the road, on Route 4 there, on the Canterbury side, is actually a strip of Concord right along there.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Miller. Thanks for your testimony. Okay. Any other member of the audience have questions, concerns?
Can I add something?
Yes.
Rich,
so before you do that, Heather, hang on just a sec.
Yep.
So I just want to tell the audience, we got a bunch of people in the audience. If you do want to speak and you're waiting for someone else to say something, if there's no hands up, we're going to close the public hearing. So don't be bashful. If you do want to speak, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead, Heather.
I just wanted to say that there are off-site improvement plans that are still being drafted, and those plans should have the improvements on them, including whatever pedestrian, bicycle, round intersection improvements are being proposed. And so at those council public hearings, and when this application comes back before the board, the public should be able to see what's being proposed and comment on that at that time. And currently the discussion, the assumption is that there would be, well, the timing is part of the discussion. Let's just say that about which improvements get get accomplished at what time and at what point, you know, the uses can start to function. So all those issues are still in discussion.
So the issues, the big issues are you started to say the word roundabout and stopped, but the big issue is the intersection of Hoyt Road and Whitney Road and Boyce Road there, and then 93 and on ramps and off ramps from 93.
Right.
So those two issues, I mean, before anything happens, have to be resolved before any type of development happens on this site, other than, tree clearing and things like that. But any type of buildings going up, nothing's going to happen until those are resolved.
Yeah, I mean, everything's sort of happening coterminously, but the discussions and the agreements will have to be in place before construction starts. Yes.
Okay.
Or I mean, obviously, the planning board approval will have to occur. So, and that will all be, after all those discussions occur. So.
Okay. All right. Any other member of the audience wish to speak regarding this application or this proposed drawings and visions? I don't see anybody's hand going up. Heather, you got anybody on your end? Whoops, somebody just put their hand up.
Yep, Lori Rossio, and you are allowed to speak already. So.
Well, welcome, Ms. Rossio. If you could just state your name for the record.
Thank you, Chair.
Or Mr. if it's Mr.
We're both here. This is Laurie Rossio.
And David Rossio.
Do you guys want me to promote you to panelists so you can share your video?
No, that's okay. We don't have any video to share. We actually just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to come before the board and the public and start the process by collecting the comments, getting the feedback, and we do want to iterate or echo Jason's comments. So we do want to work with the board and with staff to getting to where we're all comfortable with the pedestrian access throughout the site. And that's really
it looks like a great project, and we want to see you get get done. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, and I don't see any other audience participation members. Any member of the board, since we've taken some public testimony, have any comments, questions, concerns? If we could stop sharing the screen, Beth, I think we're good with that. So I can see everybody again. So I see Matt Hicks's hand up. Matt, go ahead.
I guess just to connect some of the things we've been talking about. I mean, we've talked about, I've been on the board a while, and we've talked about the site for a long time, and we're here now. So I want, future discussions about grocery stores in Pennacook, that's over, right? We're talking about this site now. And I'm excited to see this finally get developed and some movement. I'm sensitive to Tyson's comments about Canterbury and pedestrian access. I'm wondering how much the planning board should be involved with that, separate from the city council. So perhaps Councilor Pierce could talk about that a little bit. But I really see that there are issues with Whitney Road extension. There's issues to pedestrian, bus, bicycle access to downtown Pennacook, and how we're going to tie those people together. There are issues to traffic on Mountain Road and Hoyt Road in Concord, and whether that will increase. But I'm not sure, maybe Heather, you can help me out. I'm not so sure outside of site planning and our job, how much is our job and how much is the city council's job.
So I will also invite Dave Cedarholm, the city engineer, to weigh in on this if he has something that he'd like to add. But essentially, my understanding of the process is that VHB is coming up with design, and we've been working with them on the design in terms of what should be in there. Ultimately, I think staff will make some recommendations to council about what we think the solution is, and there will be public hearings on that. But part of those discussions are about funding and who's responsible for what. So to the extent that council makes decisions about if they make these decisions about what they intend to fund, those will be those will be aspects of the plan that the board, may not necessarily be able to change because the city said, hey, yeah, we think these bicycle improvements are great, and that's part of, I'm just making stuff up. But so there's certain aspects that will be decided through council in terms of who's funding what. And that's how we have it set up right now. And then there are other aspects that are that may be intended to be funded by other parties. And that's what the TIF is all about. So that's something that council needs to go through. But in the past, when there have been offsite improvements that are needed for traffic related reasons, those are always part of the planning board process. So when the Lowe's went in, when the development down on off of the mall, when DeMonte went in, when all of those big projects went in, there were offsite improvements that were part of the planning board application. For the most part, those were funded, were paid for either through impact fees or the actual applicants had to pay for them or their exactions, but they funded them. So it's not uncommon for offsite improvements to be part of the planning board process.
Yeah, it seems like this one, it seems like Pennacook is going to be a big issue. Downtown Pennacook is going to be a big part of the discussion here. That seems a bit removed from this site. And certainly we want people to be able to get from downtown Pennacook, but bus routes and things like that. It would be great to have a lot of those questions answered before we get to the site plan hearing, because we could spend hours on that. So if we have answers to tell people ahead of time, it'd be great. And it would make it a lot easier for the Rossios and everybody else involved if we could have that settled as possible before that.
Yeah, well, I will share that we have had conversations with Kat about bus routes to this area, and I don't know if that's anything that's high, like they're aware that this may be a need in the future. I'm not sure how high up on their priority list something like that is. So that's something maybe we can follow up with them to say, that is incorporated into the discussion with VHB about the design, like bus stops and things like that. So, but I think that in my understanding, and I'm immediately going to defer to Dave after this, is that may not be something that immediately occurs, but that may be something that occurs later down the line. But go ahead, Dave.
Well, so I just wanted to say we've been working very closely with Rossios, TF Moran, and VHB. VHB is working with the city to design the proposed 2-lane roundabout at the intersection of Hoyt and Whitney and Boyce. In addition to that, there are quite a few other elements that are being broken out for cost reasons, and also to determine how much support there is around a number of items, including bicycle and pedestrian accommodations on sort of a minimal scale, which would be connecting up the sidewalk that ends at Hannah Dustin on Hoyt, connecting that up to Whitney and bringing that down into the development. A much more broad pedestrian and bicycle accommodations around the entire roundabout, a left turn lane, an improved left turn lane for westbound traffic on Hoyt to Hannah Dustin. Also looking at a smaller roundabout on Whitney at the development's northern entrance, and also modification to the on-ramp at exit 17 for southbound traffic on 93. So we're breaking out all those costs aside from the sort of base roundabout project to determine, so how do those things get paid for, who pays for them, and how they get incorporated into the whole project. So those discussions about all those items will be happening over the next couple of council meetings and planning board meetings too.
Great, thanks, Dave. And just for the record, that's David Cederholm from City Engineering for the City of Concord, if you're coming in late to the meeting. And again, Dave, maybe, I think to Matt's point, the things that trip us up when we get down the road, a traffic study at the last minute, or, runoff from the parking lots. And obviously we're not going to look at lighting plans and snow removals and things like that now, but, those big picture things for this site and the way it's laid out, there's no buffer problems. There's no, conservation easement issues, none of that. those types of things are, I think to Matt's point, is if we need to make improvements, you know, we want to know everything up in front so that all can be put on the table, and the Rossios and the developers can kind of look at it now and not at the, you know, to the 11th hour say, hey, we want to have a traffic study done to see now that you've got your tenants in here, and now that you know that it's going to be a higher volume than we thought it was going to be. Okay, well, thank you very much. And again, I don't see anybody raising their hand. So any other comments or questions from the board or from staff?
Do we need to, we did receive an email from a member of the public. Do we need to read that into the record? Or?
If you could, if you got it in front of you, just for the record, just since it is public testimony, we'll read that into the record. I think it's pretty short.
Yeah, it's pretty short. It's from Carissa Caro. I'm probably saying it wrong. Corrow. Who was unable to attend tonight, but she wanted to share her support for the project, bring a grocery store to Pennacook. She said she hopes that the plan considers that many of the residents in Pennacook do not have access to private transportation. The grocery store is far away from the residential areas. They hope walking paths to the grocery store and bus route will be included in the overall plan. So echoing what Matt was bringing up and Heather talked about as well.
Okay, so we'll mark this as meeting number 1 of what we hope is several. Heather, another point, Heather? You're on mute. Hello?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for catching me before I got too far into that comment. I just want to say that, you know, the Rossios and TF Moran have been really great to work with, and I've appreciated their openness to working with staff. And I think it will help, you know, all of our conversations have helped to improve things. One thing that I think the board, that I think would be really helpful and is typically a part of these types of very large projects are graphics that demonstrate what the expectation or intent of the design is. And by that, I mean more than just base plans or, you know, concept plans or, or elevations, although I do appreciate the architecture and the elevations that they have produced. But typically you could expect to see some type of perspective drawings or overall perspectives or different orthographic types of drawings showing what the intent is. And that way, that helps the board and the public to understand how the place is intended to actually function. And, you know, I suspect if they did do some of those types of drawings, you know, some of the concerns about pedestrian access and how the site's going to function might be answered, or they would certainly be more clearly illustrated. I know they have a little gazebo area, and it's not really clear to me what that's intended to be, but especially since they don't know who their tenants are, it can function in 2 ways. It can function to help potential tenants understand what the intent of the design and of the site is, and they can help to get their project approved because the public and the board and council can see what it is. But I would just put that to the Rossios and to Jason at TF Moran, that it would be really valuable to, and my recommendation would be that be included as part of the site plan application, to have some types of graphics, perspectives showing how the site is intended to look and how it's intended, the character and how it's intended to function. That can also help to create consistency with architectural treatments when the tenants do come along.
Great, thank you. So again, with any public testimony, oops, hold on, yep.
So another email came in, Lisa just forwarded to me, that just came in during the meeting.
Okay.
I'll read that one. It's from Richard Smith, who lives on Medina Drive in Pennacook. And he just said he'd like them to consider how the Tanger outlets are set up in Tilton.
Okay.
And that was that.
Okay. So that will be part of the public record as well. So with any public meeting like this, we like to hear all the public testimony, hear any of the board testimony, and then open it back up to the applicant. So we've got quite a few people from the applicant there. So if any of you guys, whether it's Eric or Jason or Andrew or Lori or any of the people that are listed there, Tyson, if any of you guys would like to respond, you don't have to. If you want to make a short statement, that's fine. Put your hand up. If not, we'll close the public hearing and move on. So we'll give you a second here. We got a panelist that put their hand up. So who's that? Whoops! Somebody put their hand down. Quick.
This is Eric Brown. I'll just say thank you for your comments. Very thoughtful, very nice board, very pleasant to work with. We look forward to the next round.
Like I said, it's meeting number 1, and we hope to keep this project going. So we hope to see you back here right to fruition.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eric. Any other audience members or panelists? Last chance
For tonight.
for tonight. Yeah, you'll get plenty more cracks at it. Okay, so with that, we'll close the public hearing, and we will dismiss all those additional members. Heather, I'll let you take care of that. And then we will look back to our agenda. Sorry, let me get back to my agenda here. I think we're done. So we will look back on the agenda and move to our last item, which is any other business which may legally come before the board. Do we have any other business from staff or board members that you'd like to bring up? No hands, no nothing.
Welcome back, David.
Welcome back, David. You look great. He's on mute. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Muted.
You're still on mute. You're still on mute.
Let me see.
You're
Maybe I
still
can
on
unmute
mute.
him. Wait, I unmuted him.
All right, you still unmuted, David? Hit the space
No,
bar.
I'm trying, but I'm not able to do it.
Hit your space bar. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. He's singing a song, I think. I can't hear. We can't hear you,
I'm
Dave.
not able to unmute him.
You're muted.
He had it figured out before.
All right.
Oh,
Well, we won't put you through any more of that. All right. Let's we'll move to the end here, and we'll look for a motion to adjourn. If someone would like to make that motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Pierce, seconded by Matt Hicks. All those in favor?
Chairman Woodfin,
Aye.
Councilor Pierce,
Yes.
Member Hicks,
Yes.
Member Regan,
Yes.
Member Smithmeyer,
Yep.
and Member Fox.
Give us a
Now
thumbs
you gotta
up.
get yourself
Say yes.
unmuted. Give us a thumbs up.
Well, we're going to move on. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good to see everybody, and hopefully we'll see you in person sooner rather than later. Have a great night.
I hope.
Good meeting,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Take
Thank you
care,
all.
everybody.
Good night.
Hey.